Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? Welcome to this is episode 2 of the Game of Apps mobile app development live stream. So, based on last week's feedback, what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks is we're going to build the same app on both iOS and Android. We'll do it side by side, so you'll be able to see the similarities and the differences between the two platforms. We'll be using Xcode for iOS and Android Studio for Android. So to get started, I'm going to show you here a design. So this is a design that was put together by our mentors for the senior program, the senior Game of Apps program. And this is the second mini project that the students will be working on. And in the senior program, they'll be developing this on Android using Java. But what we'll be doing over the next few weeks in this live stream is we'll develop this app using Swift for iOS and using Kotlin for Android. So let's quickly walk through what this app does. So you can see here, this is an app called Figma that a lot of designers in the industry use for mocking up user interfaces. So what we have here is a number of screens that the designer has mocked up. So if you can see here, this is the main page. And the purpose of this app is to split a bill. So imagine that you're out with friends having dinner, and then at the end of the meal, you want to split the bill. So the waiter or waitress brings you one bill, and you want to split it among your party. So that's what this app is for. So we have here the main page with the list of all the meals that were consumed for that evening. There's a plus here that allows you to add an item. So if you click on the plus, then it'll bring you here to add item. You can enter your meal information, and then when you're done, it'll get added to this list here. You can also tap on these three buttons here, and by tapping on these three buttons, it'll bring up this pop-up that allows you to either to edit or delete an item. If you say delete, it'll ask you to confirm. If you say edit, it'll bring you back to this screen, and you can change the information. And then lastly, here it'll show you the total. If you tap on the split bill button, then it'll bring you to this screen here, where you can change the number of people you want to split it into, and then it'll show you the total that each person pays. All right, so let's do a quick demo. We'll show you first how this works on Android Studio. So let me run this in Android Studio, and we'll show you a demo. During the live stream, if you have any questions while I'm demoing this, please feel free to type it in the chat, and I'll be able to answer your questions. While this is building and running, this live stream will probably be between 30 to 40 minutes. That's what I'm aiming for. So it's not too long, but we'll be doing it every couple weeks. All right, so you can see here on the bottom, it says Gradle build running. So it's still building. Once it's finished building, then it should show up here on the emulator. This emulator here is a Pixel 5, so it emulates a Pixel 5. All right, so it looks like it's still building. While it's building that, let's go. Oh, okay, it looks like it's finished. All right, okay, awesome. All right, so here we go. So it starts off, total is 0. It's empty because there's nothing in here. So if I tap on this, then I can add an item. So let's say this is my meal. So let's say I ate, my meal comes out to $17.98, and I paid $134 in taxes. So if I go done, then it gets added there. All right. Let's add someone else's. Let's say I have a friend named Jane, and her meal was $12.45, and her taxes was 98 cents. Right. So if we go done, then we have the two items listed here. Let's say I made a mistake. I can go edit, and I can change this. Let's say instead of $12.45, it's actually $14.45. I can go done, and then it gets updated here. Let's say I want to delete Jane's item. I can go delete. If I want to split the bill, it shows me that I can split it 2 ways. I can split it more than 2 ways, so I can just pay for the total bill. All right, so that's a quick demo of the Android app. Let's jump over to the iOS app. So let's go ahead and build this as well. All right, so there we go. So same thing, I'll add my item. So Roland, I'll add my meal. I can't remember what I said it was, but we'll just make up some numbers. All right, so that's my meal there. Let's add Jane's meal. And I'll show you. So let's say I just did this, then we have the error handling as shown in the mockup. So 1234, and let's go for text. All right, so there we go. And then we'll show you how to delete. Ask me, am I sure I want to delete? I go yes, and then Jane's item is deleted. I can then split the bill. I can split it as many ways as I want. All right, so that's a quick demo of the app. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you when you create a brand new project in both Android Studio and Xcode, it'll look like this. So in Xcode, it'll look like this. You have a view controller and a storyboard, and they're both blank. Okay. Oh, let me actually this is not there. So it actually looks like that. All right. And then in Android Studio, when you start a new project, actually let me just reset this because I was setting this up earlier. All right, so it actually looks like this. Okay, you have a main activity and you have an activity main.xml file. All right, so that's what you have when you first start off. So let's start off with Android Studio. When we start off, we want to, since it's blank, so let's run this and you'll see how it looks. So the blank screen on Android Studio has a hello world in the middle. While it's running, I'll run the iOS one as well. So the iOS one is just an empty screen. Okay, so Android Studio is done. Waiting for debugger. So it comes up like this. Hello world. And this is the name of the project. Okay, so I named my project demo livestream -Android. So that's the name there. For iOS, actually, I'll run it on the same simulator. I think I used a iPhone 13 Pro Max. All right. So it's loading it up. Is it still loading? It should be just a blank white screen. Looks like it didn't come up. Oh, I know why. Because I deleted something earlier. Okay, let me run this again. And then this should show up. Yeah, so just a blank white screen. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is how do we add a navigation bar? If we remember, if we look here in the mockups that the designer put together, there's a navigation bar up here. In Android, it's called an action bar, but in iOS, it's called a navigation bar. But this yellow top bar there. So we'll add that. Okay, so here on Android, there's already an action bar. So by default, the empty template in Android Studio has an action bar. Now the title's wrong, so we'll fix that in a bit. But in iOS, by default, there's no navigation bar. So in order to add a navigation bar in iOS, it's pretty easy. We just select this first screen here, and then we go up to navigate, and then we, to editor, and we embed in navigation controller. And that's it. So you'll see that in the storyboard, it's added a second scene, a navigation controller that contains our first screen. All right. Actually, let me just delete this because I added this while I was trying it out later. So when you first do that, this is how it looks. All right. So if we run this now, there's a navigation bar here, but you can't see it because it's white on a white background. All right, so let's add a title to this navigation bar. So that's the second thing that we want to do. So to add a title to this navigation bar, I select this navigation bar up here. So you'll see I was able to select something. It's white on white, so you can't really see it. And let's give it a title, My Demo App. All right, so once I do that, you'll see My Demo App here. If I ran this again, then you'll be able to see that there's now a title up here. All right, let's do the same thing here in Android. In Android, there's already a default title, which is my project name, but I want to name it something else. So in order to do that, what I do is I go into the Android manifest file, and in here, I have my application name and my activity name here. So in my activity name, I could actually give it a label. A label equals, and then I can go My Demo App. Well, actually, I'm supposed to do Android label. All right, so let's, this activity is my main activity. So let me run this. And it should be called My Demo App now. Okay, great. Okay, so I've shown you how to add a navigation bar and also how to put a title in your navigation bar. The next thing we want to do is we want to put in a color. So you'll see here that the default color in Android Studio is some purple color, while in iOS it's white. So white on white doesn't really work that well. So let's do iOS first. All right. So the way we do that is I click on the navigation controller here and I go to the nav bar. And then up here, I'm going to click on scroll edge. And I'm going to change the default background to my color. Now, I want to match this with the design that the designer provided us. And so I can't just use a yellow color because that's not the exact yellow color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my designer's mockup and I will look at the top bar here and I'll figure out what is the yellow that they've used. All right, so this is the RGB value for that yellow. I'm going to copy it. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go back here to my iOS project and I'm going to go into the assets catalog and create a color. Okay, so I'm going to call this color my menu yellow. And then I'm going to add this color in there. Okay, so that's any appearance. That's for light mode. And then for dark mode, I'm going to change the same color. Although I'm not going to use dark mode for this app, but I'm just going to change it here. So any reference to this color menu yellow will be this color for light mode and this color for dark mode. All right, let's go back to the storyboard. So now I've selected my navigation bar. And for the background, I can choose now my name colors here, menu yellow. I can select that and you can see that my navigation bar is now yellow. Let's run this again and let's see if it works. Okay, there we go. So my nav bar up there is yellow. All right, let's do the same for Android. So here, you can see we have some default purple color. So that default color actually comes from the themes file. Okay, so if you'll see here, the themes file, this color primary variant is what's used for my nav bar. As you can see here, status bar color is the color primary variant, and it refers to this color named purple 700. So where's that defined? That's defined in here in the colors.xml file. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new color, and I'm going to give it the name menu yellow. Okay, and this is the color that I've copied over from my Figma file that the designer provided for me. So now if I go back to the themes file, then I can change my color primary variant to, I called it menu yellow. So here's the autocomplete. And I'm going to change this primary to menu yellow as well. All right. So now that I've changed that, let's run this again and let's see if that takes effect. So it's building. So as you can see, Xcode builds a little bit faster than Android Studio. And also, as you've seen, the way we can change the colors and turn on the nav bar. Okay, here we go. So it's a yellow nav bar, and My Demo App is the name there. Okay, so what do you think is easier? I've shown you so far both the iOS and Android. So in terms of turning on the navigation bar, seems like Android is easier because by default, the empty template already has a navigation bar. But in iOS, it's not too bad. I just need to embed my screen in a navigation controller. Now, changing colors for both iOS and Android, I need to define a color. In iOS, I need to define it here in the Assets catalog. In Android Studio, I need to define it in this colors file. So either one is not really too difficult. So I would call that as a tie. All right, and then so that's defining the color, applying that into the nav bar. In Android Studio, I need to change these two values. And then in iOS, I need to actually go into here, enable scroll edge, and then change the background color there. So here, Android seems to be a little bit easier, but iOS is not too bad. Now, there's one difference you'll see here. In iOS, the title is black, while in Android, our title is actually white. Okay, so according to the mockup, the title should be black. So we'll need to do one more thing in Android, and that's to change the title to black. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to define a few things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define, well, not status bar. I'm going to define this. So a toolbar style. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find these styles here on the bottom. So as you can see, this is a little bit more involved now. Okay. So this toolbar style refers to this style here. And in this style, I'm defining that my title text color should be black. Okay. So let's run this again. And if everything works, if I did everything right, then the title should now be black. All right, there we go. So it's black. Okay, awesome. Now there's one more thing you can see here, the status bar up here, the color of the text and the icons are white. So I need to change that to black. And the reason it's white is because it thinks that the status bar is a dark color, like purple was dark, right? So I've just added this new line here called window light status, and I set it to true. So I'm saying that the status bar is actually light. So because it's a lighter color, then Android should turn it to black, turn the text to black. Okay, there we go. So the text and the icons are now black. All right, so we're now pretty even. Both iOS and Android kind of looks similar. Now, they look slightly different, and that's because Android and iOS do have their own default behavior and default look and feel. So for example, in Android, the titles are by default left justified, while in iOS, the titles are by default centered justified. So even though my designer's mockup looks like this, it's center justified, I'm not going to center justify my Android app because the Android users expect the title to be left justified. That's what they're used to. So in this case, I'm going to stick with what the users are used to. Now in iOS, they're used to having it in the middle, centered, but in Android, they're used to having it on the left. So we'll keep it on the left for Android. Okay, great. So we've done our navigation bar. Let's go back and take a look here. What do we have? We have a little button here. All right, so that's the next thing we're going to do. It's 4:20 now. So this is the last thing that we'll do today. And then once we finish adding the button, we'll continue on next time. All right. So in order to add a button in Android Studio, what we need to do is we need to create a menu. So in Android, the top bar is an action bar, and then anything that's on the action bar is a menu. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the resource folder, and I'm going to create a new folder, Android resource directory, and I'll create a menu folder. All right. And then in this menu folder, I'm going to create a new file. So I'm just going to call this menu.xml. All right. And then rather than typing it in, I'm just going to copy and paste from my previous project, and then I will explain to you what's happening there. Okay. All right. So what I've done here is, let's change this. So I've created a menu item, and in here I've said that there's going to be a button. Okay, and the icon is this one, a button add navbar. Now it's in red because I haven't imported this image yet. So let's do that now. I'm going to go back here and select this image, trailing icon, and then I'm going to export that so that I can use it in Android Studio. So in Android Studio, I'm going to export it as an SVG file. I will call this icon add. While I'm here, I'm going to export it for iOS as well. For iOS, I'm going to export it as a PDF. Okay, I'll also call it icon add. Right. So let's go back to Android Studio. So here we are. I'm opening the resource manager, and then let me bring this window here. Okay, I saved it on my desktop under the temp folder. So this icon-add SVG is what I'm going to add in here. All right, so it's going to call it icon_add. I'll go next. I'll accept the defaults and import that. Okay, so now if it's imported this image. So now what I'm going to do here under icon for this menu XML file, I'm going to change it to the name of this image. All right. So if we look at this preview here, you'll see that that button is now added. Okay. Then I have to do one more thing for Android Studio, and that is to add something in my Kotlin file, my Kotlin source code, to tell the system that I want to enable a menu. Okay. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to paste this code here. Okay. What this code does is it tells Android that when it creates a menu, let me just import this first. When it creates a menu, that we need to inflate this menu. So we need to read this menu from an XML file called menu.xml. All right. So this one says when Android Studio needs to create a menu, it's going to call this. And what this line does is it's going to read my menu.xml file, and then it's going to load that up. So the menu XML file is this one that I've created, which has this plus button defined there. Okay, so if I did everything correct, let's run this. It should now come up with a plus on the right side of the action bar. Okay, there we go. So I can tap on it, nothing happens because I haven't hooked it up to anything yet, but now I've added this button here. All right, so just a quick recap. we need to add the icon to our resource using the resource manager. And then using that icon, I need to create a menu.xml file in my menu resources folder. That's this file here. And then the icon defined for that entry points to the icon that I've just added. And then the last thing I need to do is I need to go into my activity Kotlin file. And I need to have this method called onCreateOptions menu. So the options menu is the top right menu in the action bar. And inside onCreateOptions menu, I need to inflate. Inflate basically means to load the XML file that I created. And that XML file is this menu.xml. This ID here, r.menu.menu, is basically just refers to that. R is the resource folder, menu is the menu folder, and menu is this XML file. All right, so it's a little bit involved, but that's how you do that in Android. Now let's show you how it's done in iOS. So in iOS, it's actually pretty easy. So we have a nav bar here. All I need to do is grab a bar button item, and I need to then drop that in there. Okay, so that gives me a button labeled item. Now I want to change that to an image. So what I need to do then is I go back to my assets catalog. I need to create a new image set. And what I'm going to call this is I'm going to call this icon add. All right. And then there's 3 scales. Different iPhones have different resolution scales. I'm just going to use a single scale because we're using a PDF file, and a PDF file is a vector file, so it'll scale well. So let me just bring this up here. Icon add. So I'll just drag this image into this icon add resource here. Okay, so now that I've defined that, I need to go back to my storyboard, click on my button, and instead of having a title item, I'm just going to have no title. And under image, I'll select in the drop-down icon add, which is the plus image that I just added. And there we go. It's up there. So if I rerun this, I should now have a nav bar with a plus button up here. All right, but it's blue. So why is it blue? Okay, the reason it's blue is because if we look here, actually here, we'll start here. If I select this button, you'll see that I can specify the tint color for this button. And the tint says default. Okay, what's a default tint color? Well, it's taking the default color from the global tint, and the default is blue. So it actually inherits that setting from its parent. The parent is the navigation controller here. So if I change the global tint to black, then now this tint should inherit that global default. So that's one way to do that. Or if I don't want to change it black for my entire app, I could just change it here. And I can just change a single color black here. Okay. Other way, if I run this now, it comes up as black because the tint color is now black instead of the default blue. All right. So that's a quick run through of how to create a nav bar, how to set the title of a nav bar, how to set the color of a nav bar, and how to add a button on the nav bar on both iOS and Android. All right, so next, the next live stream, what we're going to do is we're going to hook up this button, and then we'll be able to show you how to do that, how to hook up that button. And yeah, we'll also do this image here. You see this background image of these Pac-Man here. So we'll show you how to do that for next class as well. All right, so yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Post in the comments. If there's something that you didn't quite understand, post it in the comments. I would love to hear back from you. Otherwise, we'll see you again next time. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.